Hey everybody, this is Punktorah. We're going to do Parshat Vayeitzei. So we've got two things that happen. First, you have the ladder to heaven dream with Jacob and the rock and all of that. And then the second part that you have is Jacob being under the employment of his uncle Laban, hoping to marry the beautiful Rachel, and instead having to marry Leah and then work another 7 years, and finally getting to marry Rachel. So the dream is sort of interesting because he sees the ladder to heaven and it's this beautiful thing, but then all of a sudden God speaks to Jacob and says, you know, fear not, I'm with you, and I'm going to be with you until what I am done speaking to you about is fulfilled, and then I will forsake you. And it doesn't mean forsake as in, you know, you're on your own, or, you know, you're in trouble, or I'm going to give you up to anybody. It's just, I'm going to do with you and be with you until everything that I have said is done, and then we'll figure it out from there.
That could be also the, how it says the angels were going up and down the ladder.
Right.
So God's saying, you know, you're going to have this special protection, and these things that are going to happen, you're going to have me watching over you.
Right.
Especially.
Right.
So I won't abandon you afterwards, but I'm going to have, you know, you'll have extra.
I'm going to take care of you, especially now, because this is what you need.
And you're going to go through some stuff.
Right, and he's on the run at this point. I mean, he's freaking out. He's essentially just robbed a birthright, and he's trying to get out there as fast as possible. He's got a red, hairy monster of a brother chasing after him.
So that's kind of comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, too, that he wakes up from this dream and he says, wow, this land was holy and I didn't even know it, and I'm going to take this rock and I'm going to, you know, build a house of God. And that's kind of where the idea of the rock that your church is built on, that, you know, sort of metaphor, that's where that comes from in our language.
Right, and there's also the thought that, like, dreams in the Torah are prophecy.
Right.
And he experienced a prophecy in the land, and he didn't know it.
Right.
And he wasn't ready for it.
Right.
And it was almost like falling asleep in shul.
Right.
And it was like, oh, whoa, I didn't know that I was here.
Right.
I didn't know that this place was important as it turned out to be. And I need to sanctify, or I need to appreciate that.
Right.
So I'm going to put this here and make this an abode.
Right. And
of God.
Yeah. And so much of the Torah has these ideas about, you know, what's holy and what's not holy, and sort of you learn real quick from the Torah that anyone can be holy and any place can be holy, and so it forces you to always be thinking in a state of holiness all the time.
Right, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know when you're going to have that crazy dream, or you're going to be in this strange land, or whatever the case is. So you have to be on guard a little bit, and, you know, keep your eyes in the right direction, and, you know, all that.
Absolutely. So then we come to Jacob's marriage contract.
Right.
And the deception.
Right.
So the way that I kind of see this, and the way that it's kind of been put to me, is that you've got Jacob, and he sees Rachel, and he's like, whoa, you know, this chick's hot.
Right.
And I want to marry this chick.
Right.
Woman, lady, person.
Yeah.
So he works for 7 years to marry her and ends up marrying somebody else. So in essence, God's saying in this dream, he's saying, I will be with you. I'm going to take care of you. These things are going to come up soon, and you don't know what they're going to be.
Right.
So you need to know that I'm here and I'm behind you. Right. And you're going to go through this stuff, and whatever happens, it's going to be the right thing that's going to happen. You can't change it.
Right.
And it's going to be okay. So when he ends up marrying Leah, it's the right thing that's going to happen. That had to happen.
Right.
Because it's through Leah that we get Levi and Judah. Right. Which is where the priests and Mashiach comes from. Right. The whole idea of all that. So that is the basis for that. But then there's the other idea here, and this is what I found most interesting and I think is most applicable that we were talking about, is Rachel and Leah are symbols.
Right.
And Rachel is a symbol of the material.
Right.
And Leah is a symbol of the spiritual.
Right.
And so you see that in Joseph is the son of Rachel.
Right, right.
And he saves them from famine.
Right.
But Levi and Judah are the sons of Leah, and they're spiritual descendants.
Right.
You know, they have more of an effect that way.
Right.
So in essence, it seems that God is saying, through Israel, through Jacob, the spiritual and the material come together.
Right.
So you can extrapolate that and say that through the Jewish people, through Israel, we bring the spiritual and the material together to one.
Right.
Whether that's tikkun olam, repairing the world, and bringing this together now instead of focusing on a after life,
right,
or whether it's these things that we do every day, and you say a bracha and sanctify that. You you eat an apple, you say a bracha for an apple, and you eat the apple. So you're taking something material, and uniting it with the spiritual, the same way that Jacob did when he married
both of these
Leah
women.
And he married Rachel.
Right.
So that's almost like Israel's goal in existence. That God is showing us through the story of Jacob that our role is to take the spiritual and the material and bring them together. And that in working for Rachel and instead being with Leah, God's saying, maybe you're working for the wrong thing. Maybe working for the look or the status or the material isn't what you're supposed to be working for. Maybe you're supposed to be working for something else. And then by marrying Leah and then, having a life with her and living up to his responsibilities as a Jewish husband, he finds that out. And then in marrying Rachel, he's able to bring everything together.
Yeah. It's good stuff. All right. There you go.
Okay.
Punktorah.